Welcome, listeners. You are tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey.
Hello, everybody.
Unlocking Your Truth is a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality. And we broadcast every Tuesday night from 7 to 8 Pacific, not every, every Tuesday night. That's from 7 to 8 Pacific time
Not every night.
on 101.7 FM across the Fraser Valley on CIVL, which civl.ca, and it's from the unceded territory of the Stolo Nation. And you can catch us on the Awaken Your Psychic Abilities Facebook group, and you can catch us on my YouTube channel, and we're quite an established show, so we have hundreds of podcast episodes that you can see on drlesliephillips.com and all the major podcasting platforms. Well, welcome to the show tonight, listeners. If you're a regular listener, you'll know that we have had a fantastic series over the last 6 months about psychic abilities. And every show for the last 6 months has been about a different psychic ability. So we've been educating you about what it is to be psychic, what it is to be intuitive, and what are the different ways that you can be psychic and intuitive. Because
Lots
it's,
and lots and lots and
yeah,
lots and
it's not
lots.
all one thing. It's not all one thing. We've covered 22 different psychic abilities and another couple of abilities beyond that. And so I thought that tonight might be a good idea to bring it all together in a kind of overview, because in order to write a book on the subject, which my book's called Intuition and Chakras, and in order to talk about it on the radio show, we've sliced it and we've diced it into individual types of intuition. But the truth of the matter is that you are multisensory. So you all have many psychic abilities, not just one. There might be some that are stronger or that you're able to tune into a bit more easily right now. But just as you have 5 physical senses, and you use your 5 physical senses to interact with the physical world, you also have multiple spiritual senses that you can use to interact with the spirit world. So, for example, let's take the 5 senses. So you have physical sight. Well, you also have spiritual sight, and that's your clairvoyance. You have a physical sense of hearing. You also have a spiritual sense of hearing, and that is your clairaudience. And so it goes. So everybody has multiple psychic abilities, and they come together to create, it's a bit like your fingerprint, really. You know, your fingerprint's unique to you. Well, your profile of psychic abilities is also unique to you. They are channeled through your chakras, which are energy centers, which are conduits of spiritual communication from spirit through to you, the body, personality, self. And your chakras are unique to you because you are a unique aspect of divine consciousness, and only you has had the unique experiences of life that you have had. And only you has had the unique experience of lifetimes that you have had. So only you has the unique collection of knowledge and information and experience. And so all of this comes together to form the uniqueness of you, and that includes your unique profile of psychic abilities. And this unique profile of psychic abilities, by the way, maps directly to your purpose in this lifetime. In fact, there's a really cool metaphor in my book that talks about this. In fact, I think there's a whole chapter on the book about I call this your psychic ability blueprint, your unique profile of psychic gifts. And so in the book, the metaphor is, let's take somebody who is about to come into their next incarnation. And let's imagine, let's call him Jim. So Jim is about to be reborn into his next incarnation. As spirit, he has all of it going on. He has infinite knowledge, infinite information, skills, and abilities because he is infinite as spirit. But he's going to be incarnated into a lifetime which is finite in nature, which is lived through this physical vessel called a physical body. So he can't fit everything that he is into that body, into that lifetime, and into time and space. So he has a purpose for that lifetime. And let's say, and let's make it up, right? So this is, so let's say he's got a choice between being a carpenter, an artist, or a car mechanic. And he chooses to be an artist. So he's not going to come into that lifetime with his spanners and his wrenches and his mechanics tools, because they're no use to him. And he's not going to come in with his carpentry tools either. He's going to bring his paintbrush and his palette and everything that's relevant to being an artist. So your psychic ability blueprint is a bit like that. That you emphasize psychic abilities that are beneficial for you, that help you do what you came here to do and learn what you came here to learn and expand and experience the things that you came here to expand and experience. So sometimes in your psychic ability blueprint, you might feel, well, disappointed, that I don't think I'm any good at this. And it might not be that you're not any good at it. It might be that that's not an area of emphasis for you this lifetime. Or the opposite, it might mean it is, but that how it is in emphasis is because you are transcending the challenges and blocks to you embodying that ability. So sometimes our psychic abilities show up as, wow, I heard my spirit guide talk to me. Wow, I saw a vision of Christ. You're seeing things and hearing things and all of that. Sometimes they show up as those very validating experiences. Sometimes they show up in an opposite way as some kind of challenge. Like, for example, the challenge of fuzzy thinking and confused on a thinking level. That challenge is the flip side of your clairvoyance. That when you transcend that challenge, when you gain mental clarity and take ownership of your sixth chakra and your mind, then now you've turned what was a challenge into an ability. The classic example of this is the empath journey, where you're suffering because you're overwhelmed by other people's emotional reality. And you really, feel like you need to be away from people. Everybody's dumping their emotional stuff on you. It's too much to deal with. Well, that's also the flip side of a psychic ability called clairesentience. And that psychic ability it relates to body-spirit communication. Your body will communicate through its physical and emotional messages. Your clairsentience is how you tune into the emotional messages of the body. The problem with an empath is that they're tuning into everybody else's emotional messages as well. So in meeting your challenges and working your way through your challenges and transcending them, you come to a level of ownership of your energy system, a level of comprehension about how to consciously use your energy system, and eventually a level of mastery over your psychic abilities. And as I said, it is a journey, and it is a unique journey for every single human being, because every single one of you is completely unique. And that's by design. You know, we often talk about we are one. We are one, but in our human form, we are unique individuals. And together, all of those unique individuals make the oneness. But there's no one else like you who has your unique profile of psychic abilities and your unique life purpose. You are, it's called the matchless gift. You have a matchless gift that's just you and yours, as individual to you as your fingerprint, your unique profile of psychic abilities. And as I'm saying, you can learn about, it doesn't always show up about like, wow, you know, I can see my spirit guides and I really instantly know everything I need to know. Sometimes it shows up as a challenge, but if you meet the challenge, your gifts are waiting for you on the other side of the challenge.
I have a question from Misty. Misty
Yeah.
says, could you tell me how to recognize a block in my intuition, how to clear it out? And Misty, you must be psychic, because I was thinking the exact same thing.
So, yeah. Well, what I would say to that is that there are some common blocks that people experience that relates to intuition in general. And there are also some specific blocks that relate to specific psychic abilities. And most of us encounter many of them. So let's start with the general blocks. Is your mind always thinking? Is your mind chaotic and unruly? Do you have a whirlwind of thoughts going around all the time? Are you worrying about this and worrying about that? Going over your to-do list, thinking about the stupid thing you said to your boss last week, worrying about, you know, the meeting that you've got to go to and try and appear to be smart in. All of that mind chatter is coming from your brain. Your brain is part of your body. Anytime that the body and its reality dominates, it can be a block or a barrier to your intuition. So one block that's very, very common is the monkey mind and how to tame the monkey mind. Because to access your intuition, you don't access it through your intellect, and you certainly won't access it if your mind is that busy. You need to find a way of stepping aside from the intellect and experiencing yourself as spirit from within the body. And it's a very different experience than being in your thinking mind. Another common block relates to the emotions. Like we were just saying, if you have stuffed your emotions down, denied your emotions, or are someone that everyone comes and dumps their emotions onto and you absorb them, then that's also, or your life is an emotional roller coaster ride, that's also going to keep you from your intuition. While all that is going on, that is a distraction to your intuition. People often say, well, how do I know if it's my intuition? And sometimes they think their emotions are their intuition. And sometimes that their thoughts are their intuition, but they're actually not. They're actually distractions and blocks to your intuition. They're part of the body's reality. Other common blocks are perfectionism. So if you get this perfect idea of what your psychic abilities are supposed to be like, you might have trouble measuring up to them. You might judge yourself, you might criticize yourself and prevent yourself from actually having the genuine experience of what it is for you. Because like I was saying earlier, it's different for everybody. Everyone's unique. And so maybe you go to a psychic development class and your teacher's very clairvoyant and you think, what's wrong with me? Because I'm not really seeing anything. Maybe your strength is in your knowingness. And if that teacher hasn't got a broad enough spectrum to notice that about you, you'll go away feeling invalidated. So it's not, you know, another block is that you compare yourself to other people and don't allow yourself to be uniquely you. And I could go on, but here's another one. Actually, I will go on. Fear. Fear is a block. We have to go to a break, but I can.
That's probably the biggest block, isn't it?
That it's well, because there are many different fears that people can have about their psychic abilities. There's a big long list of them.
Okay, let's go to our break and we'll come back.
Okay, listeners, you've been tuning into Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey, and we'll be back after these few messages.
For those of you who don't know, we take a couple of seconds because on the radio show we have to put ads in there. So we just take a couple of seconds to take a sip and then we go back and we're back on.
Welcome back, listeners. Thank you for tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and with Corey. Tonight we're talking about your unique psychic ability blueprint, your unique profile of psychic abilities that's specific to you and relates to your life purpose. And the reason we're talking about that is because in the last 6 months, we've done a series on psychic abilities. We've had 24 shows, each where we've talked about a different psychic ability. And now I just really want to make the point that you're multisensory when it comes to your psychic abilities. So you don't just have one, you have many of them. And this is unique to you, your journey through your chakra system, and it's your chakra system that your psychic abilities are channeled through, is unique to you. And so part of your life journey will be to overcome certain challenges. And on the flip side of overcoming your challenges, you may find some amazing abilities coming forward. And so a psychic ability is not something that just automatically drops into your reality and wow, I've got this amazing gift, although it can. Oftentimes it's through the struggles that you meet along the way that you reveal yourself to yourself, that you discover yourself by facing your life challenges and healing yourself. Then you meet yourself and your abilities the other side of that. And before the break, someone was asking, well, how do I know? How can I tell a block to my intuition? And we gave some examples. And we were just saying fear is a big one. And that can be you had a past life or many past lives where you were punished for being psychic. And that's going to be a karmic imprint until you clear it. You might be afraid of what you might see. Maybe you're afraid you'll see some evil demon. Or maybe you're afraid that you will have to stop hiding from yourself and things that you've buried within yourself, that you'll have to heal yourself. Maybe you're afraid that if you see something about someone else, all of a sudden you're responsible for helping them and telling them. Or maybe you're afraid that as I open my gifts, I will change. As I change, my relationships will change. Maybe they won't love me anymore. Or maybe you're afraid they will think I am crazy if they tell them I can hear angels singing in my ear. And that's just a few fears. There can be so many of them. And those fears can get in your way. If you're afraid like that, then you're going to hold back. So those are some of the general fears, and there are more general ones. And I also mentioned that there are specific fears that relate to specific, not specific fears, specific blocks that relate to specific abilities. And depending what chakra the abilities channeled through, they are relevant to that. So let's see if we can think of an example that we haven't given. Maybe you have a problem speaking up, speaking out, speaking in public, speaking your own mind. And that relates to your fifth chakra. And it can relate to one of the psychic abilities, which is your inner voice. So being able to fully receive your inner voice and have your inner voice flowing through you and expressing it. That can be that's an example of a specific block. The other part of the question, how do we clear them out? So all of my psychic development courses are twofold. One is helping you understand your abilities and use them. The other is helping you find your blocks and clear them. And how we clear the blocks is through meditation. We use very specific energy techniques to inactivate and disintegrate and dissolve and let go of different blocks, which can be in the form of emotional blocks, mental, belief systems, and more. So we have energy techniques that we use in meditation to get unblocked. That was a long answer.
That was a 2-segment answer, Dr. Leslie.
Yeah, that was, wasn't it?
Yeah. So we got some lots of questions.
Well, that's great. I should let you ask me all the questions then.
Would you like one?
I'd love one.
Okay, this is from Ali. Ali says, for the last several years or so, I've discovered that my strength may be claircognizance. As I learned about it, I realized that those were the thoughts I had in my head, even as a young child experiencing a rough childhood. I always felt I had people guiding me, and as a kid, I never questioned it. I just followed. As an adult, I'm trying to strengthen this. I was wondering if you could tap into my energy and advise me in any way. I'm truly claircognizant. I try to use it in my Reiki practice to help my clients more as well. Am I on the right path trying to strengthen this?
I would say absolutely yes. And you know that what you share is a relatively common experience, that people when they're kids have greater access to their psychic abilities than when they're adults, because usually what's happened is there's been some kind of invalidation along the way. So for example, often the child that knows a lot, either they'll be teased for being a know-it-all, or just when you go when you go through the education system, there's all these people who, I think they know more than you and tell you what you're supposed to know and how you're supposed to know it. And so what I'm seeing with you is, yes, your knowingness is strong and powerful, and that the block that I was talking about earlier, which is passing stuff through your intellectual mind. So sometimes it looks like, sometimes you trust it and sometimes you doubt it. And when you're doubting it, it's because you've brought it into the intellect and then the intellect has started questioning it. And the other thing I would say to you is that, and I also see the healing abilities that you're talking about. But the other thing I see is that in some senses, it's sort of like this crown chakra is awake, and then there's more. There's more to be embodied, and so for you, it feels like that's not exactly the low-hanging fruit, but in a way the low-hanging fruit. But the more you heal yourself, the more you clear any denser energies in your own system, then I see that there's obviously potential for you to experience more than you're knowing. Hope that's answered the question.
I don't know, probably. Ali says, that was me, the know-it-all, just like me. A lot of us here on the calls, I'm sure, are like that. Got a comment from Najiri. Najiri says, thank you for holding space and contributing so much to this community. We're truly blessed.
You're welcome, Najiri. Nice to see you on the call. Although I can't
Yeah.
see you, it's nice to know you're here.
Yeah, I called her a stranger. But okay, Misty Beth says, thank you. What's your take on vegan diet and psychic ability? Do you think you need to be vegan in order to, I guess, and she also says in her response to one of your earlier posts, fear is a big one. How do you do, I guess, get over it? I think we
Okay.
already talked. I have a comment on the vegan thing as well after you're done, Dr. Leslie.
Okay. I think all of these things are a unique choice. You can be psychic regardless of what you eat. Now, there are people who believe that you need to eat a higher vibration diet in order to raise your frequency, in order to access your abilities. But what I say is that you are the one who can raise your own vibration regardless of what you eat. So I think being vegan is a personal choice and it works for lots of people, but everything is energy. And yes, it's true that to access your psychic abilities involves raising your vibrational frequency. But raising your vibrational frequency is not just about it's not really just about what food you put through your system. It is about what's in your system, but you have a lot in your system on an emotional level, a mental level, a physical level, and all of that has to be looked unraveled. You have to peel the layers of the onion to raise your vibration. So diet can be one aspect that you can choose to have in that way, but the master can transmute any energy. You know, the old tradition where people bless their food or say a prayer over their food on an energetic level, it can actually be cleansing the food and raising the food to a higher vibration before they put it into their body. And so an energy master can transmute any negative energy into a more positive high vibration. And so my answer to that is, if you want to be a vegan, that's great. For anyone who wants to choose any diet, that's great. But I wouldn't say if you're not a vegan, you're not going to open your psychic abilities, because that's just not true. And the second part of the question, how do you overcome fear? Well, again, using energy techniques to raise your vibrational frequency and move up the vibrational scale out of fear. But there are other things that you can do. Getting angry will get you out of fear. Fear is the lowest vibration. Anger is the next level up from fear. So fear will get the energy moving. Anything that gets the energy moving gets you out of fear. Fear is stuck energy.
That's it. Okay, I got a couple of comments on those questions, and the first thing is every human being is different. I mean, each and every one, even though we're all the same, we're all different. And one of the things that we've got to appreciate, we don't all require the same type of nutrition in every aspect of what we do. I mean, I'm a meat person. If I don't have my meat or my fats and everything, I get pretty uptight about things. I need my meat, and so I think saying that vegetarians or vegans are more open to psychic abilities, I don't think that's right. I agree with you. It's the frequency that you're on. I the key here is the word is gift. These are gifts, and they come to us as gifts. We don't have to earn them in any way, shape, or form. Any spiritual gift is exactly that. It's a gift. And so whether you're vegan or not vegan, I don't think it's a real issue. I think it's just what you're willing to do to awaken them. It's all on a practice. It's like writing. Well, most of us, almost everybody in the world can write. Some write better than others, and it's because of practice. Mostly it's practice. And the other thing on fear is, there's basically two groups of emotions. You've got the fear-based emotions, you got the love-based emotions. Dr. Leslie, you were saying anger is a higher vibration, which is great, but love is the most incredible vibration. So anything that you fear, if you just love it, just love it, just just love it. Just
Yeah.
put out that emotion of love. Even if you have to put your arms out, which I've said to many people, put your arms and hug whatever you're fearing. It will dissipate because fear cannot stay where love is. And so it's very important to remember that you have the ability to move through fear at any given time.
I'd like to just add an extra thing to the end of
Oh
that, and
boy.
just share anecdotally. I mean, because I've been vegan and I've been vegetarian, I've eaten meat, I've done all of those things, and I had my psychic abilities
Oh, yeah.
regardless of what diet I was eating. One thing I did notice as a vegan, excuse me, oh, must not be meant to say, right, is if I did eat meat after having not eaten meat for a long time, I could feel the energy of the animal. And sometimes I could, feel the fear of the animal. But that's not to say, therefore, don't eat the meat, but be aware there is a vibration in that food. But equally, there's a vibration in an apple that you eat or a banana that you eat. You could have an apple from an organic farm grown on lush soil, and versus one grown on dry, arid land where the nutrients have been leached out. Those two apples will have a different vibration. And so having an awareness of your food is great, and an awareness of the vibration of your food is great. And being able to work with energy and transmute energy before you put it into your body, or as an ongoing process to be constantly cleansing your system and clearing out unwanted energies from your system. Because you can pick up fear from a piece of meat you eat, you can pick up fear from your next door neighbor who's afraid about something, you can pick up fear from different places besides your own fear. And all you have to do is find a way, energetically speaking, to release that fear, which you can do through meditation.
Fear the fear and go do it anyway.
Mhm.
It's I forget what her name is. The author who wrote that.
Susan Jeffers.
Susan Jeffers.
And she's deceased, but
Yes.
what a brilliant book or series of
Oh
books
yeah.
that she wrote.
Phenomenal book. I'm starting to forget all my authors. Okay, I think we'll just jump to a break quickly, Dr. Leslie.
Okay, Folks, you've been listening to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey, and having a lovely show talking to you about psychic abilities. Welcome back, listeners. We are talking to you about psychic abilities on this episode of Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey. And it's the part of the show where we love the most, where you ask your questions.
So I've got a comment and a question from Danielle, and I'm not 100% sure what she means by her comment. She says, I've learned that I'm the first free one from my lineage. And she also says, wow, I'd like to know my personal psychic blueprint. Thought you'd like that question, Dr. Leslie.
Yes. So on the comment, I'm seeing a lot of that happening lately, that, you know, there are certain belief frameworks and behavior frameworks that are transmitted through the family line for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And you know, let's take an extreme example, but a pattern of abuse. Abusive behavior is transmitted from generation to generation, and the shame and the guilt and all of the things that go along with it, those low vibrations, those behavior patterns that keep people stuck and trapped, go on and on and on and on until you get somebody at the end of the line who heals themselves, awakens, cleanses that karmic trait from their system. And then when they do that, not only have they freed themselves, they've given a gift to every single person in that ancestral line who's experienced that same pattern. And right now on our planet, there's such freeing going on. Of late, in the readings that I've given, I've actually seen that been happening many times. So it seems to be a thing. Sometimes things go in trends, you know, and so, yeah, Danielle, that's great to be the one that creates the change. And you also free the future generations in the same way. So you, in that healing, in that freedom, are connected to all of that, and ultimately to the whole world, and ultimately to freeing the planet from a system of repression that's currently being transitioned out of. So that's great. And your personal psychic blueprint. Well, I'll give you two suggestions on that. One is if you go to my website and you look at the different types of sessions that you can arrange to have with me. One of them is a psychic blueprint session. And in that session, I draw up your psychic ability blueprint chart. And then you receive the chart and a personalized report, and we meet together for 90 minutes. And I go into trance and I channel for you all the information about your psychic abilities and how it relates to your life purpose. So telling you your psychic ability blueprint's not something I could do in the space of a minute or two in answering that question. But one way to find out is to book a session with me. Another way is I tried to create a way that people could start to gain insight into that for themselves. And I've done that in my book, which is the Intuition and Chakras book. If you read this book, it will start to give you an idea of your unique psychic ability blueprint. It takes you through exercises in self-awareness, so you can start to gain that information for yourself. It's obviously not the same method that I use when you come to me for a reading, but it gets you contemplating it. And in actual fact, if I can quickly find it, I had some brief examples in, maybe not. I have some brief examples in the book of people whose psychic ability blueprints I've done. And if I can find one or two, I'll read them because they'll give you an idea of how they map to the life purpose. Ask me another question, Corey, and if I find it while I'm flipping through the book and we've got time, I'll read a couple.
there I am, not muted. Okay. You partially answered this question for George. He says, do you see a drop in these abilities due to the fear and anxiety caused by the media and COVID stories? I sensed a lesser spiritual connection a number of months ago than a number of months ago.
If you are afraid, you're in a low vibration state and the energy is not flowing. Your intuition and your psychic abilities are a form of communication. For communication to happen, energy has to be in flow. If you're in fear, your energy is not in flow and you are stuck. In order for you to access your psychic abilities, you need to raise your vibration, because the vibration of spirit is super high and you're in a body where the vibration is much lower. And so, yes, George, a state of fear is not conducive to accessing your psychic abilities. Are there any other questions, Corey?
Yes, there are.
Okay, cool. Otherwise, I found that part in my...
Go ahead and read one quickly.
No, it's okay. Go through the question.
Okay. So Amy says, I do a lot of trance meditation and feel as if I'm jumping time or something, but nothing ever seems meaningful. How do you make sense of the things that you see or use it in a helpful way? Can this lead to mediumship? I would really like to help people as a counselor and mediumship.
Well, there's about 5 questions in there.
That's good.
How do you make sense of what you can see? I teach you how to do this in my courses. And it relates to what I was saying earlier. It's learning how to operate consciously as spirit through the body, learning how to sit within your third eye and to look at what you're seeing from the third eye allows you to translate it into meaning and unlock the multidimensional information that can be present in some of the symbols that you see. So on the one hand, it's practice. On the other hand, a really good teacher can help give you some tips about how to seat your consciousness so that you can start to make sense of the things that you see. But don't try to make sense of them through your intellect, because that ain't going to work, like I said earlier. Could this lead to mediumship? Yes, and the show we did last week was on mediumship, and so listen to that one. I explain how mediumship is not a psychic ability in its own right, but many mediums are using many different psychic abilities. So you can definitely, if you're interested in mediumship, and if you mean by mediumship talking to people on the other side, you can use any number of your spiritual gifts to be able to do that. And then the first question, which is, I do trance meditations and I jump timelines. So we're jumping. So what is jumping timelines? So you think, okay, well, I'm going through my life in this linear thing. I'm going from one moment to the next, and it's this progression. Actually, what's happening is millions of times a second you're blinking on and off in this quantum reality state. To you, it appears that life is unfolding in this linear way, but it really isn't. You're recreating yourself in every fraction of a second. So you're actually jumping a timeline in a way every fraction of a second. And most of us don't do a huge transition when we do that. So I'm not likely the next millisecond to suddenly appear in Australia, for example, because I don't believe that, right? So we do it within the framework of beliefs that we have. Now, when you heal yourself, you jump timelines. When you work on manifesting something, you jump timelines. Anytime you change your energy, you jump timelines. But sometimes people have these experiences where they really feel like, gosh, my reality completely shifted. Like something has changed in their past or something has changed in their present, that they do a mental aha on that. But, you know, that just means you've done a bigger quantum leap than perhaps you normally do. I hope that answered all your questions, Amy. Kind of answered them in a funny order, but.
Okay. I think the order was fine. So Misty Beth says, thank you. As a child, I realized having psychic ability wasn't acceptable, which I believe is a block for me.
Yes, it is. And, you know, especially people who are brought up in a religion where they believe it's the work of the devil. Well, you're not going to feel great about coming out to your family. Or in a very scientific, intellectual family where it means, you know, maybe you're a bit doolally if you have psychic abilities. So there can be all of these programs running in our childhood and in our culture and the groups we belong to that invalidate these gifts, these abilities, and these senses.
Okay. Question from Celia. Celia says, I'm really enjoying the show tonight. I seem to be struggling with self-doubt a lot lately in general, as well as my psychic abilities. Not sure if you have any tips or insights. Thanks for holding space, Dr. Leslie. Much appreciated.
Well, if this is the Celia I think I know, I think you know some answers yourself, Celia. But thank you for asking the question. And the self-doubt comes from the intellect. So if you're spending a lot of time in your intellect, then that might be where it's coming from. Another place it might be coming from, and I think that this is maybe true for you, is if you're dealing with a lot of people day in, day out that have a lot of self-doubt and you're taking on some of their energy, then you will find yourself feeling the way that they feel. So one is take a look at yourself and ask yourself if you are really being centered when you're wanting to access your intuition, or if you've moved into your intellect. Use your grounding to release the self-doubt, to shift yourself out of being in that state of doubting into a state of certainty. And then finally, if it's the Celia I think it is, are you taking on some energy from your clients? And do you have a bunch of clients who are doubting themselves? Because then you just need to clean yourself out a bit more after you've seen your clients.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Leslie.
You're welcome.
And Misty says, can I ask you if you could tell me if my abilities have changed since my psychic blueprint?
Wow, Misty. Your psychic blueprint's got 22 things in it, hasn't it? But I'll make a general comment. Thank you for asking that question, because, you know, should you just get your psychic ability blueprint only done once? Or should you come back at some point in the future and get it done again? And the answer is it can be cool to get it done again because it can change. I'll give you an extreme example. If somebody may come in with a particular purpose, and they may partway through their lifetime fulfill that purpose, and then they may say, well, I'm going to shift tacks and I'm going to focus on something else now. Their psychic ability blueprint may be rekeyed, reorganized, rearranged in order to match the new life purpose. So in that instance, if you've changed your focus, then it can change. And let me see if I can give you a quick answer. Has it changed? The answer is it has changed. But if you want to know how it's changed, I can't tell you that in a minute or two that we've got left on the show. Corey is mute.
Yes, I'm muted. Please don't say that, Dr. Leslie, because then I have to go in and find it and take it out of the show.
Oh, I apologize.
I know I'm muted when I'm muted. Okay, we have a question from Jennifer. She says, "Thank you for your grounding tip. It worked. I saw the dirt of Earth swirling around like it was blowing past me in a windstorm. Then a cloud white ball at its center, where I would normally see the center of the Earth appeared. My grounding cord went to it when I asked it to connect to the new Earth like you told me to. Over a few days, the white cloud ball grew and grew, and now I feel and see this new soft energy all around me and everywhere. I use it to calm down, calm and center. It is beautiful. You gave me that information just as the shift was happening. It it is interesting because my grounding cord is now anchored and no longer traveling like a loose rope behind a boat. With this shift, this worked and allowed me to be cleared more quickly than before. Happy New Year, she says.
Happy New Year. Thank you for that validation. This stuff really does work, folks.
Does it, Dr. Leslie?
It does. Yes, I've not been delusional for the last 20 years. It actually
Okay.
does work.
I have a question from the Jerry, and the Jerry says, "Can you clarify the difference between blueprint and Akashic records?"
Yeah, sure. We might say in a way that your blueprint is part of your Akashic record, because everything's part of your Akashic record. Everything that ever was or will be is imprinted in the quantum field. Everything you have ever done, said, experienced, will experience there is a record of that. We call that the Akashic record. You have your own personal Akashic record. You have a personal Akashic record that relates to you on the level of a soul and an oversoul. You on the level of a being that has had many incarnations on this planet. You have a Akashic record that relates to the planet, that has everything you've ever done in any body in this world. You have an Akashic record that relates to you this lifetime. And your psychic ability blueprint for this lifetime, right here, right now, in this moment, is part of your Akashic record for this lifetime, if that makes sense to you. So your psychic ability blueprint is a specific formula of information that relates to your chakra system, what you're channeling through the chakra system, how you're expressing yourself, what you're experiencing, and how you are sensing and interacting with your reality. Your Akashic record is everything about you, beyond that definition of the psychic blueprint. Thank you for that question. I've never been asked that question before.
Okay, and now it's time to go, Dr. Leslie.
Oh, no.
So
Oh,
good
we'll
night
have to
to
come
all.
back next week then.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, everyone who joined in, and we hope to see you next week. We're here every Tuesday from 7 to 8 Pacific time.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.